Okay, welcome back. This is part 2 of the Minium automatic farm tutorial. In this part we're going to go over how to actually take the stuff we made in part 1 and turn it into a Minium Stone. If you forgot what we made in part 1, we did the auto mob spawner, we made a railgun, we hooked it up to a power core, and we finally tied it into a mob farm that uses either mob spawners or the automatic mob spawner from Mine Factory Reloaded. Okay, so as I mentioned before, our ender chests are going to be used because they are, well, maybe I didn't mention this before, but the awesome thing about them is they are linked and across any dimension and across any distance. So these white matches white over there. If I open this one, you can see that the one over there opens as well. Now why that's important is because anything that is killed over in that mob area over there, you can see its loot is automatically going to come into here. And what we're going to do, this is actually a red power sorting machine, which is powered by Bluetricity. I just have a quick battery box and solar panel set up. There are other ways to get Bluetricity. I'll leave it up to you to figure those out. It's kind of outside the scope here. But the important thing is if you can see there, that Minium shard got color-coded white, and everything else can get color-coded black, which is going to get pumped into an incinerator. Now, this thing is going to make a ton of things: enchanted bows, arrows, bones, rotting flesh. We can see a couple of them going through there. We don't want any of that. You might, so you might not want to incinerate it all. We don't. We only want to save the Minium shards. So if we look in here, this is set to rotating redstone mode. It will send its own redstone pulse, and it's set to, I think this is back 1. So if this is the default, this is the way it's default set up. You go forward 1 and then back 1. And what this gives you is called, I don't know what it's called actually, but basically it's any stack or all stack with a default route. And the default route we have colored to the black color. So anything that this sorting machine is not set to look for will get colored black. And we put a shard of Minium in here and we set it to color that white. So anything that's not a shard of Minium will get colored black, and all shards of Minium will get colored white. Now this is basic sorting machine, so if you already know how to do that, I apologize. If you don't, this is going to change your life because you can set this stuff up on a massive scale. I recommend highly checking out the sorting machine tutorial video. So any machine or any Minium stone that's going to come through here is going to get put down this white path, and I've just taken a paintbrush and with white paint painted the red power. It's actually just called the pneumatic tube, but it's from the red power 2 mod, and paint that one black. So then this is just a crystal chest. Doesn't need to be a crystal chest. I just had one, and all the Minium stones, or shards rather, are going to get pumped into this chest. Again, same deal. Rotating redstone. This can be in any mode. Basically, we just want it to, anything that goes in here is going to get pulled out and pumped forward into this automatic crafting table. And the only thing that should ever go in here are the Minium shards. So it doesn't really matter to set up a filter inside here. Then within this automatic crafting table, remember that each side, each face of the crafting table, except for the top, has its own inventory row. So if we pump in on this side, all the shards of Minium are going to get their own row. And then what we're doing is on this side we're pumping in inert stone. And inert stone is the center and is surrounded by shards of Minium, and that gives us the final product, finally, of a Minium stone. So if you just look at this, it looks pretty simple, but how do we actually, we have to make all this stuff. The shards of Minium, we had that whole setup to kill the mobs, but how do we do inert stone? Now there's a couple different ways to do this. You can do this setup, the basic idea is the same. You need to make all the parts and combine them all into finally an inert stone. The recipe is stone, iron ingots, and both of those surrounding a gold ingot. It's not too bad, but you need to actually make all that stuff. And if we want an automated factory, we can't rely on anything else but an infinitely renewable source. So what I've done is I've used the UU matter recipes, and there's a UU matter here. Let me just grab some UU matter so you can see how this recipe works. This is just an automatic crafting table turned sideways. Again, same deal. The sorting machine is going to pull out of the top anything that this crafting table makes. And so if we see there, this pattern here makes gold ore. It's going to take and pump it into a pulverizer, which will pulverize the gold into pulverized gold dust. Then that thing is configured you got to make sure to pay attention to this. You want the input side is always blue, and the output side is going to be red here. And these are part of the thermal expansion mod. You can actually configure this. If you notice the blue square here and the red square here, we want this left side to be blue, our input, because that's where our pipe's going. And the bottom, which is going to pump into our electric furnace, we want to be red. So the electric furnace is actually going to take the pulverized gold, and if we take these out, we can see that it's going to smelt that pulverized gold into gold ingots. So we have 5 UU matter create 2 gold ore, and then those 2 gold ore each create 2 more dust. So we have 5 UU matter to 4 gold. And that's going to be pumped into one of the sides of this inert stone crafting table. Now we have to do the same thing over here for the iron. Again, look at the recipe. It's just an X pattern of UU matter creates iron. And that iron ore is going to go into our pulverizer on this side. Now, if you notice, I haven't set this pulverizer up. I'll show you how to actually do that. So all you have to do is click on these different sides until they get to the color that you want. Again, this is extremely easy. So we want this one, the bottom, to be red, which is, remember, our output, and the left side to be blue, which is our input. Now, we need to have this thing actually get power. So how do we do that? So in order to get power, we're going to use this kind of elaborate, kind of complicated setup, but there are several different tutorials on this. This is a remote power core, and I'll just go very quickly over the changes. You might want to check out those videos separately. 061, Tekkit Lite 061 has introduced changes, so let me just cover them really quick here. Again, IC2 HV consumer. These are HV arrays and MFSUs to keep us going through the night. An energy bridge in the middle, and then finally a BC producer on the output side. Okay, and if we look inside here, we can see that in HV2, IC2 HV is going in, and BC power is going out. Now these are just wooden conductive pipes going into gold conductive pipe. I have tacked on some redstone energy cells, and again wooden conductive pipe to pull the energy out of them. This basically just keeps the buildcraft setup going through the night, because these can each store 600,000 millijoules per redstone energy cell. Those are kind of complicated to make. And then finally into this thing called a phased conductive pipe. Now this is set to send on frequency 100 to anybody publicly. There's an option to go private, and that means that only the ones that you place will work. But if we want it to be public, you can configure the frequency here, and we're going to send power. I have it set up here, and this is another phased conductive pipe with a switch conductive pipe and a diamond AND gate. And let me just set those up very quickly to show you how they actually work. So if we were to just set this up and we were to say, okay, send and receive public, you can see the power is going to flow right in, but you can see almost immediately it's going to start to build up. Now this thing is filling right up. The problem is these machines can, if they're sitting idle, they can build up and then they'll start to explode. So how do we solve that? We take our diamond AND gate and slap it onto the switch conductive pipe, and if we click again, we can actually edit this AND gate. And basically what we want to do is, if it has no energy, we want to actually, you know what, let me do this way. If we are full of energy, we want to give it a redstone signal, and you can see that anytime that this thing fills up, it will turn off the connection to prevent this system from exploding. Now once you've set up this AND gate, keep in mind that it is actually going to send it a redstone signal, which if you don't configure this pulverizer properly is basically going to turn the pulverizer off all the time. So we need to go into the redstone control configurator and actually set it to control status disabled, signal is actually ignored, so that whenever this thing is turning on and off to pump power into the pulverizer, it's not actually going to also turn off our pulverizer itself. Okay, so that was kind of a long tangent there, but the final step is, again, more UU matter, and we're going to create stone. Again, all of these sorting machines are set up. They're just going to pump straight forward. You do not need this pneumatic pipe here. I just kind of left it so that you can see what's going on. And this is the final recipe. If I were to take, let me just turn delete on here, and let me just free up some space. So you can see that as soon as there's space available, these machines are going to start to pump in into the different output faces. and in doing so I accidentally ruined my recipe. This won't happen for you, but there we go. And if we take an inert stone out, it will actually make more with the resources that are available. Now that's going to take, again, another sorting machine, and it will pump inert stone. If I get rid of these, we can see that it's immediately going to start pumping them back into this crafting table. We can watch that here. And there you go. Now you have an unlimited source of Minium Stones. So there you have it. It's kind of a horribly elaborate setup just to get Minium Stones, but basically we panicked when we realized that our HV solar array factory wouldn't work anymore because Minium Stones are going to run out. And we tried a bunch of different options how to get Minium shards back, and we did not have any intention of having to do all the farming manually. So we came up with this. Hope it helps you guys. If you see anything in here that did not make sense, or you would like to see further explained, or that you'd like to see it used somewhere else, I don't know, use your imagination, run wild, let us know in the comments and we will try and get that out. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Enjoy your new mob farm. You can even make that weird looking little thing to make it, to let you know that there's mobs dying in there. And as always, thanks for watching and stay poised.